would like to hand over the discussion to Tal Cohen, the CEO, of course, and founder of CyberSeps. Thank you for waiting. And I guess that this is the right time to talk about what does an auditor really look for when auditing companies across the world. So,
Yeah.
Tal, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Yaron. Thank you for that. I can say that, I audited more than, I think, 500 organizations during the past 4 years. And I can say that there is a direct correlation between employees' awareness and training to the rate of security incidents, for sure. And this is supported by the fact that over 90% approximately of data breaches is related to wrong behavior of employees. Clicking on phishing stuff is part of it. So for me, information security training is actually the human firewall of the organization. You invest much less money in training than in other technology, and it always compensates. In my perspective as an auditor, the certified organization for the ISO 27001, I can say that there are three things that also me and my colleagues actually examines when we sit down in organizations and watch and review their compliance documentation. So the first one, I'm looking for structures, documented, and recurring training program, making sure this is not only one-time onboarding session that someone completed 2 years ago and they never revisited. Otherwise, it's like going to the gym once a year, it was nothing. So I need to see that the organization has an ongoing intentional approach to the security awareness education, that they can take it seriously and on constant basis. I want to see that they show me a defined curriculum, a training schedules along the year, evidence that the content is updated regularly, and employees are retrained in meaningful intervals and not just, as I say, once a year and or when the employee just joined the company, because we saw the changes. The changes are enormous during the last 2 years with all AI and also threats. We see over 3,000% increasing in cyber attacks. So we must see employees trained well. The second thing, and frequently, of course, the second thing I'm looking is to see that there is a measurable evidence that the training is really working. I check the completion rate, phishing simulation results, training logs. All this must be documented and readily be available. If you tell me that our employees are well trained, so my next question is show me the data, because data speaks and nothing else is matter. If you can't produce completion records, if you can't show me how employees perform in phishing simulations, and if there is no any paper trail, then from the audit perspective, the training might not well exist. So we want to see results, and this is something that the standards always look. It wants to see effectiveness of the training, and the effectiveness of the training. It's not just to convey the informations, but also to measure and to see if the employee got it, understood it, and implemented it. And the third thing I'm checking is the complete coverage, and this is very weak point that many organizations fail. Your organizations must assure that every employee, and here is the point, including contractors, including third party, must be included in the training with no exceptions, no gaps. One of the most common findings, actually, I counter is that organizations that train only full-time employees, but completely overlook contractors or temporary employees, workers, it's very common, or third-party vendors who actually have access to the sensitive systems of and data, and it's extremely risk. If someone has access to any kind of system or any kind of data, they must go through training. And Yarom, if we can go to to the next slide, please. So if you can see across all these three frameworks, SOC 2, ISO 27001, NIST 2, there are
These are
many,
just an
many.
examples, of course.
Exactly, exactly. Every territory has its own regulation, and every industry has its own regulation. But these are the common standards. The security training must be, and there is a common thread between all of them. Instead of going deep too much inside, the security awareness training must be documented, reoccurring, and measurable. And this is not an optional. This is a big discrepancy if it doesn't happen. In SOC 2 and 27001, you can see that the focus is that the training is covering all personnel, that phishing simulation are actually being done. We see that this is the main way of hackers to attack organizations today with phishing, because it's very not beneficial and very hard to break down firewalls. And so it's better, as Mike said before, to use the psychology weaknesses in order to do so. We also look for a signed policy acknowledgement, which is very important and also required by standards. And we want to see evidence that new hires receive training during onboarding, and not only after a few months they are already got a user interface. And training must be also competence-based and aligned with specific roles. I mean, so you need to match the phishing training level to the experience of the employee and according to its position. It's very important. Um, and we also should be aware, and I never like to use it, but we should know it, that under some regulations there are big penalties for non-compliance that can reach up to 10 million euros or dollars, and sometimes also till like 2% of the global annual revenue. So we must be aware of it. This is from my side in a nutshell. If you have any further questions now or later, I will be always happy to answer. So thank you for listening.